Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show, it's about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of The Equalizer. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Obviously, the past comes calling to, Robin in more ways than one in this episode when, first and foremost, she gets contacted with someone from the CIA, Marcella, which at first you're like, why is she contacting you? Why isn't she actually contacting the actual CIA who she works for? She actually kind of sent up a red flag, a literal red flag, and it turns out because, seems like her and Robin have history because Robin trained her, which it's like, man, Robin had it rough this episode. She kind of lost a lot. This is someone you personally train, and it still kind of probably sucks. It's like, yeah, this is one of your students, that she gave her that Bruce Lee quote, which she still kept it. It's like, what was it, like, there are no limits or something like that, and she still keeps it, meaning that experience all those years ago, because she's like, I haven't seen Marcella in like 10 years. I'm out of the game, but for whatever reason, she contacted me. But Marcella ends up with a bullet in her, and I was like, damn, that sucks. Because I was thinking, like, oh, man, Marcella and Robin are going to join forces, and it's going to be a whole situation of, obviously at the time when she first contacted Robin, we didn't know the connection until Robin found her dead, that Robin referenced how her and Marcella knew each other. But I was wondering, I thought, like, they team up this episode. In fact, it's actually her and that other agent, Griffin, who end up teaming up. Griffin is played by, is it Brett Dalton? Yes, it is. The thing I best know him for is playing Ward in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Video game-wise, Mike. Did they ever call him Michael? It's always Mike. Mike from Until Dawn. But regardless, I was just like, hey, which, because of him as Ward, spoilers for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., is going to be accidental. It's going to be a indirect spoiler for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but kind of a direct spoiler. Because of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I was careful the entire time. I'm like, please don't turn up. Like, don't tell me you're going to end up betraying Robin. You ended up being a traitor. You ended up being Hydra in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so I'm like, please don't tell me you're going to end up being a bad guy. Like, you're someone working with Mason Quinn. But it's like, because the entire episode, I'm like, he's going to turn on you. Especially in, like, the last section of the episode, I was like, he's going to turn on you, isn't it? But it's like, oh, no, he got zip tied too. Okay, good. You're a good guy. Okay, good. Which part of me wonders, are they setting Griffin up to be a more permanent stay? We'll kind of get into that a little bit later on, but I'm wondering, could he be Robin's, like, CIA connect? Bishop was always, he was still with the group. He had his own, like, security and stuff like that, but he still worked for the CIA, didn't he? Or was he actually, because he had his own, like, private company and stuff like that, but I was like, I can't remember if he still had direct ties. I mean, he has his connections to the CIA, but I don't remember if he actually still directly worked with the CIA. But nevertheless, it's interesting what this turn of events ended up turning into, where Marcella had stumbled across something really bad, and it revolves around Mason Quinn. And it turns out this all revolves around a translator who was supposed to was trying to defect, and she was going to give some information to the CIA. She got sent back. And I think Griffin said, like, yo, they found her with her throat slit in Beijing. And it's like, yeah, that's sending a very, very clear message. So it turns out that her name is Chen, what she was going to actually give over was she ended up hearing a conversation about something. It was the name Lou, but it, like, the CIA code name for it was Black Widow. Turns out it's a very long-range, powerful EMP, and this all connects to a plane that suddenly fell out of the sky and no one knew what it was about. Turns out it was a test for this EMP weapon, and this EMP weapon is being sold to none other than Mason Quinn. You knew he was going to come into the episode in some shape or form, especially when Marcella was watching someone at the beginning. I was like, oh, this must be Mason Quinn related. Even then, just because they introduced that plot point back into us in the recap at the beginning of the episode. So I figured that's what she was stumbling across, but I didn't know in what shape or form Mason Quinn was going to be involved. Which, that actor who plays Mason Quinn, I have to look into it. I've seen that actor in stuff. He's one of the actors, like, I've seen you in stuff, I just can't place what. I want to say the Transporter TV series he was he was the lead in that. It might be the same actor, might not be. That might be one of those things I might have seen him in. But obviously, this case hits home, pretty close to home for Robin because of her issues with Mason, and also explains why Marcella never told the CIA, because it's like, right, I can't take the chance that the CIA, for whatever reasons, make some backdoor dealings yet again and end up releasing him if, like, they get involved, or at the very least might help him escape, because he might end up offering them something that they'd rather take over than taking him. That he might, even though he is the big fry that he is, which also just shows the short-sightedness of what they got in the long run. Was it worth it for him to be out there able to continue doing what he's doing? Fact is, he brought an entire plane down. That falls on the CIA for doing that. He actually brings 2 planes down, you know. Well, someone was testing out the first one. He directly brings down the second one, but still. So they've got to take some responsibility. Their decisions back then, yes, they made the argument, right, we made a sound decision at the time we thought benefits. Like, this guy's a megalomaniac. He's a sociopath, and the fact is you let him go. He's like, the way Robin talks about him, the way she fears him, is kind of, well, just, or not fears, but rather feels about him. It's like he's basically supervillain level, and the CIA just let him go. And for Robin, it's like, I'm going to find this guy and I'm going to take him down. And I don't want to work with the CIA because I don't know if I can trust him. Have to work with Griffin. Don't even know if I can trust him. But it's like, right, it's not even about trust. It's about, we're trying to save lives here. Which, obviously, Harry and Mel have issues. It's like, right, this guy has had you in his crosshairs before. Like, he almost killed you. And it's like, yeah, but the fact is, I was able to save lives in the process, you know, so it's all worth it in the end. So how many more lives will be lost if I do not go and try to stop Mason Quinn? So, and Robin feels the need to try and go this alone. I mean, she doesn't have, I mean, even if Dante was still a cop right now, she wouldn't drag him in this. Like, I mean, granted, having that connection, him being able to call in, like, I think she probably wouldn't even want to get, like, law enforcement, like, this is kind of above their pay grade to some extent, so him being like this international criminal like he is, I don't know, even if Dante was in the picture, I don't know if she would necessarily even want him, like, getting the NYPD involved, even him involved, especially because she's keeping Mel and Harry away from all of this, so. The fact is that Robin was even willing to make a deal with the devil with the CIA and made Mel go, like, right, Robin's not thinking clear. She's willing to work with the CIA even though she's done so much to avoid that. Because with the CIA, it's always give and take. It's like, hey, if I forgot she was most recently in this. Now I'm thinking about it. I was just thinking about Lila Robbins. I knew she was in this because I just remember. I was like, oh, right, I forgot she was actually in this. I don't know if I referenced that because she's currently in The Walking Dead. So I was like, oh, it just clicked in my head. I was like, all right, I forgot she works for, like, the CIA and stuff like that. I didn't think about that until just now because I was like, right, she popped up last season. Sorry, I went on a bit of a tangent there. That just immediately popped in my mind, and I completely, I don't think I remembered that. That's the, like, besides The Boys, that was, like, the most recent, because that was after season 2 of The Boys, I believe, that aired, yeah, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, that was, like, the most recent thing I'd seen her in prior to, like, her being in The Walking Dead currently. I might have even been in Blacklist, because she made some final appearances in, the, like, last season of The Blacklist as well. Let's say tangents and all that aside. But getting back to my point, what I was saying was the whole give and take with the CIA. Obviously, you can't 100% trust them, like the whole Quinn thing, but they're always going to want something like you working alongside them might be their way to try and convince you to pull you back into the fold. So, but it turns out the next test that they were going to test out the weapon on was going to be on Bishop's plane. Bishop had apparently, like, he had gone silent for a couple, like 2 months or something like that, and he was in Europe working on something. Turns out the thing he was working on was finding Mason Quinn. And so ultimately Harry's doing everything he can, try to, like, hack into the planes and stuff like that, which that's going to catch him heat. He's going to catch some heat from the CIA by doing that, but it's like, I need to do this because I need to make sure that, you know, Bishop, you know, his plane is aware of what's going on, but the plane gets brought down anyway. I was hoping maybe at the last second they get out of the way, but no, which we'll talk about that a little bit later on, but Bishop plane goes down and it's like, wow. So And obviously Robin feels like she blames herself because like I couldn't protect him, my longtime friend. Yes, we had our ups and downs, but the fact is he was a good friend of mine. He was there for me, and I couldn't help him. And she wanted to do the same thing to Quinn, but Mel stopped her because it's like if you do that, that helicopter could go down in a public area. There could be more casualties doing that, and that was the whole point that Quinn was making to her, that, right, you have too much of a conscience. You think it gives you strength. In actuality, it holds you back. Me, I don't have a conscience. I don't care. If the situation was reversed, I'd easily shoot down that helicopter because I wouldn't care about the collateral damage. You care too much about everyone else. Because if Robin had done that, she would have never forgiven herself. But it's like, right, she was just driven by revenge. And like she had all the reasons to hate Mason Quinn before. She has even more so reasons now. The bastard even has the audacity to either he took Bishop's phone, or rather took maybe like his phone number and whatever, and called Robin. And she was like, for a second, she was, the moment it popped out, I was like, oh, is Bishop actually alive? And she's like, Bishop, Bish? He's like, yeah, don't come after me again. And it's like, the bastard had the audacity to call you like that too. I guess he wanted to stick it to her like one more time, which is shows you how much of a garbage person he is. But Robin blames herself even more because, right, Bishop died trying to bring in Mason Quinn to me because I made such a point about it. And also, Bishop didn't want her involved in any of this. Once again, she opened the file, which she was saying, don't do that, because of how like obsessed she can get when it comes to obsessed with Quinn, that he didn't want her going down that route again, especially because she was out. So he was trying to do, as someone that was still on the inside, he wanted to help her out by bringing Quinn to justice for her sake. And it ended up like this. Somehow he ended up being a step ahead. So I'm going to ahead and say and talk about what I essentially would say is kind of the elephant in the room. The question has been around. I have not been updated recently. I've not checked into the whole Chris Noth situation. So obviously the allegations that were made against him, I was curious how the show was going to respond to it, because the last time he was in the show, not just like recapping like and showing older footage, in the show was before those allegations came out. So, and I was curious to see when the show returned how they were going to handle that. And so I don't know if this is the show's way of saying, was that always the plan, to kill Bishop? It feels all of a sudden out of nowhere, especially because the last episode he was in was setting up the fact is he had a son. I mean, I guess that's also the thing to make it. It could be a thing of maybe this was always the plan. It just, the timing just seems like, oh, yeah, we made a decision to cut ties with Chris Noth and kill off the character. I've read nothing about this. That's just the feeling I immediately got, especially because the entire episode, like, they never went like, oh, ever showed footage of him, like, and you know, they did everything to avoid having him in the episode. That's why I'm like, which there could always be a twist of, no, he's not actually. I was like, I don't think. I was about to say there could be a twist that he's not actually dead. That could have been a feint, that he's actually still alive, that he was on a different plane. He just made it seem like he was on that plane. They could always do that, but I don't know. If they do that, then it's like, okay, all I'm saying, all the moot points I'm making right now are pretty moot. But like I said, the moment they were like killing him off, I'm like, that feels kind of like their way to not deal with that. Because always in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, if there's an issue you have of an actor, whatever the situation may be, in this particular case, Chris Noth's, the allegations against him, I was like, rather than killing the character off, I guess it's like, there's too much association there. I'm like, I guess it'd be, I always think like, what, I mean, but this is just me keeping the character around because of the story purposes and stuff like that. I'm like, wouldn't it make more sense to just like recast the character and just make a whole point of like, oh, you look a little different, and move on. You know, once again, great example, go from Terrence Howard to Don Cheadle. You know, it's been like a season and a half. Sure, it's going to be weird, but still. Once again, all this could be a moot point that it's like, no, they always plan to kill off him, especially because like there's the open storyline about him and his son. He never told his son the truth of like, yeah, I'm your dad, and he was hoping one day he could tell him the truth, and it seems like he never had the opportunity. And that'll probably be a storyline where Robin has to go to his son and is like, right, that guy you met, his name's Bishop, and let me tell you the good person that your father was, you know, and it's like what he's done for me, how he's helped me out. So he ended up helping with the whole Harry situation as well. So I could definitely see that being like how they potentially close that storyline in that regard. you know, like I said, unless it's a thing of, no, he's still alive. I highly doubt it, but it's a possibility they might go down that route. Once again, just depends on why they decided to do this. Whether it was like, we always planned to do it, or because of current circumstances with Kristoff, we decided to kill off the character. Either way. So it's going to be interesting to see in the long run what kind of effect this has on Robin. Once again, she lost 2 people in the middle of all of this, Marcella and Bishop. And I thought it was it all comes full circle because Vanessa, Dante's ex, was saying, right, you need to talk to somebody. That friend of yours, she stopped by, is like, oh, I thought I heard her voice. It's like, see, she kind of cares for you. And obviously it works the other way around considering how you're smiling right now. So if you're not going to talk to me about it, talk to her about it. And Robin comes to him later on and is like, right, I'm not okay. I need to talk to somebody, so that's a lot of guilt she has on her shoulders because of all of that, so... But this also makes me wonder, that's what I was wondering, like, are they going to set up, is he just going to be like a every once in a while character Griffin, or is it going to be like he is pseudo a Bishop replacement? Like, rather than recasting the character, we're just bringing in a whole other character, because maybe that's also the thing too, like, if you recast, it's just, you're always going to come into that situation a little awkward, because it's like, right, why this character get recast? Well, because of these set of reasons, and then maybe in the long run, it's just easier to kind of just like, just wipe the slate clean by just using a new character. So since we went through the trouble introducing this like CIA character of Griffin, that's why I'm like, could he fill that role? Maybe, maybe not. We'll ultimately have to, wait and see. But I think Robin won't make the same mistake twice, because luckily it didn't work out, but she's alive right now and Griffin's alive right now because of Mel and Harry not listening to her. So maybe she will next time when it comes to Quinn, like, she won't be so blinded and wanting to go in ahead. It's like, right, I need to have my team by my side and we're going to put Griffin down. Like, will you try to arrest him? Probably not. She will probably straight up, it's a revenge at this point in time, but it's also, right, just doing the right thing. We can't let this maniac just be out there, because after getting away in this chopper, he disappeared. So I figured that was going to be a mainstay storyline this season, but it kind of was in the back burner. But now with, he killed a longtime friend of yours, an ally of yours, that now it's just going to be a very concise effort to go after him and bring him down. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see where things kind of go on that front. Obviously continuing everything with Dante and just the aftermath of still being in recovery, figuring out, I wonder if this situation with Robin, is it going to have her explaining everything that went down, what she's going through? I wonder... She's going to probably try to put up a strong front, but I'm curious like what that's going to look like around Vi and Delilah, because she wasn't around them in the aftermath of this episode. So she'll probably in the next episode we'll probably like pick up with that and see what she's like around them. Will she try to be pretend like everything's okay or what? But also, like, the point I was also making is, could it be that Dante gets some inspiration because of what she's going through and how she's feeling? And I don't know. I think there's still a lot he has to work through, not just physically, but also mentally about, what he went through, and once again, why he wants to be a cop, and why, what it means to him and everything. So it's definitely going to be interesting to ultimately see where everything ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.